Hey, have you seen Codegeass yet? No? Well, don't worry. I think I can convince you to give it a try before this short ride is over. Let's do this. Codegeass is a 50-episode epic produced by Sunrise, who you might know from works like Cowboy Bebop, Gintama, and Love Live. Even among all these heavy hitters, Codegeass remains one of, if not their most popular work. Chances are you've heard of it from somewhere before, whether it was from a friend or a top-rated anime list or this image, it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that far too many people give this show a pass upon first inspection because of the art style. I was like this, and I had to be convinced by a friend that this show was worth it even though all the characters are held together by toothpicks and shoelaces. So now I get to be that friend for all of you. Trust me, you'll get used to it. And who knows, maybe you'll even start to like it like I did. Once you've jumped over that initial hurdle, it's time to get yourself fully immersed in this show's balls-to-the-wall narrative. Codegeass begins in an alternate universe during the year 2010, where the world is currently in the midst of conquest by the Holy Empire of Britannia. Their most recent victory was over Japan, and its name was swiftly changed to Area 11 in order to strip the nation of its identity and sense of pride. The Japanese people are renamed to 11s and are discriminated against harshly by their new ruler. Living among them is Lelouch v. Britannia, a member of the royal family abandoned by his father, the Emperor. When he has the power of Geass bestowed upon him by a mysterious girl named C2, he springs into action and embarks on a bloody crusade against the Britannian Empire in order to both find out what caused his mother's death and create a world where his sister Natalie can live in peace. To accomplish this, he dons the Mask of Zero to conceal his identity and forms a fearsome rebellion known as the Black Knights. If you think a high school boy attempting to overthrow the strongest empire in the history of the world sounds a little over the top, you haven't seen anything yet. Codegeass is an unrelenting roller coaster of emotions that never fails to outdo itself in both scale and intensity. In most shows that span a large number of episodes, it typically takes a while for the story to pick up steam. That isn't the case here. There is no wind-up. The show starts out nuts and stays nuts until the show is over. I mean, hell, one of my favorite jaw-dropping moments happens just 4 episodes in, where you'll bear witness to one of the most brilliant plays in the history of fiction. Despite its length, it will never waste your time, and it'll have a field day with your senses to boot. This show has a strong affinity for theatrics. Movements and performances are heavily exaggerated, enhanced by the polished pretty boy aesthetic of the show, which is why I said you might come to enjoy the visuals. Every genre under the sun is represented in some way. War, mecha, romance, comedy, slice of life, drama, sci-fi, it dips its toes into anything it can get its hands on. The powerful orchestrated score often incorporates elements from jazz, beautifully complementing the insanity on screen. Episodes will often leave the viewer with a cliffhanger, compelling them to watch just one more in order to find closure for the latest crazy twist. There are so many memorable moments that frequently stick out in my mind that I'm positive I'll remember this show until the day I die. That being said, putting all of your chips into this unhinged style of storytelling means that whether you like it or not, your story is going to be very stupid.
Oh, it seems you've forgotten. I'm very well known as the genius of homicide.
What the fuck?
Only a number.
Genius of homicide!
If you're the kind of person who needs to pick apart every little detail in a story because everything must make perfect logical sense, you probably will not have a good time here. But you know what they say. We can all enjoy a good spectacle every now and again. So let's talk about how cool these fight scenes are. Now, it goes without saying that why a fight is happening is far more important than the actual choreography, and we'll get to that part. But I have to say that this show follows my golden rule for making fights visually engaging. Movement makes action interesting. You can think of this as the acronym MI, which you can remember with the phrase, "My opinions are so great, you should all listen to them." Some genius at Sunrise decided that mechs were just too slow and clunky, so they gave them heelys. Now they're skating across the ground, up buildings, using the momentum to deliver devastating kicks, and if that's not enough, they also have grappling hooks attached to their chests. These hulking behemoths now have the ability to glide around the battlefield, and these simple tools are used in so so many creative ways. This is in conjunction with all of the other special mechs with crazy abilities that I unfortunately can't show you because the thumbnail will tell my mom on me. And while the action is great and all, what really kept me invested in Codegeass was its characters. While the plot itself may be a little shaky, I believe the characters are as rock solid as they come. And because this show doesn't have an ounce of restraint, there are a million of them, all with their own personalities and motivations. In fact, the reason why I picked Codegeass for this whole spoiler-free thing was because there is just so much going on at any given time. I wouldn't feel confident enough in my own knowledge about the show to make a full video without doing a rewatch. Colin, Suzaku, Shirley, Yuffie, Jeremiah, Cornelia, Valletta, Nina, Nonali, Ogi, Lloyd, Millie, Kaguya, Tamaki, Rivals, Anya, Toto, Rolo, Sayako, I could go on. So many of them are likable, leaving you saying stuff like, oh, it's this guy, I love this guy, whenever they grace you with their presence. When they aren't showing you that Pizza Hut is the one-stop shop for feeding your next insurrection, they're charming you with their winning personalities. You're also going to find characters you love to hate, like Nina and her boyfriend at the corner of this table. Trust me, that'll make sense later. But out of all of these characters, one stands out as the best of the best. Lelouch is one of my favorite main characters, period, and in my opinion, he carries this show. His Geass allows him to forcefully command others to do whatever he says once per person. Couple this with the intellect of a master strategist, and you now have a teenager with the ability to topple an empire. But the power of a king also comes with the burden of being one. Millions look up to you for guidance. Millions more once your head on a silver platter, and you're not going to change the world without soaking your boots in the blood of both groups. Lelouch is an anti-hero in the sense that he commits evil in order to combat greater evil. This devious charisma exudes from every word he says. His mannerisms and smarter-than-you attitude are extremely infectious. You're gonna be playing ping pong with your friend, and just before they serve, you'll laugh and say something like, "It's quite hilarious to me that you think you can win, you poor pathetic little bitch."
Dude, are you okay? Do you need a glass of water or something?
I command you to lose this point! Every carefully laid plan deepens your intrigue with the show because of how interesting Lelouch's tactics are. A great way to explain how Lelouch fights without a spoiler-filled example is by looking at the way he plays chess. While taking a noble for everything he's got in episode 1, Lelouch leads his charge with the king. You know how chess works. If you lose the king, it's all over. So most players will keep them in place or castle them until the end of the game. Lelouch isn't like that. He's all about calculated risks, never cowering behind a shield when his opponent pushes forward. If he anticipates an attack, he'll develop a counter that will hit twice as hard, trading pieces, exploiting weaknesses, all the while keeping the king in plain view as a flashy display of dominance because there's no way in hell you'll ever corner him. His foot is always on the gas pedal, making him the perfect protagonist for a show that thrives on its over-the-top nature. His tactical finesse is one of the biggest reasons why you'll keep coming back. But in my eyes, what makes Lelouch such a special character is his internal conflict. He's a man with lofty and noble ambitions that consistently challenge his moral code, his ties to others, and his humanity. He accepts the power of Geass in order to fulfill his dream of creating a more peaceful world, but striving for that kind of change will cause you to lose more than just a piece of yourself. Everything you must do, everything you must lose, until you're so far gone that the only things you have left to keep you company are your sins. And yet, through it all, Lelouch proves time and time again that he still cares. No matter what happens, he always maintains his empathy and his desire to protect the people he loves. And because he cares, I care too. So many emotional moments hit with their intended weight due to how impactful they are on these characters who I absolutely adore. If Lelouch just went through the show being all yeah whatever, then the emotions the show is trying to elicit from the viewer would never come. He carries this show for many reasons, but the most important reason is the fact that he is unmistakably human. Codegeass is breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
It builds this massive narrative featuring dozens of characters and even more twists and turns. It combines so many different elements from so many different types of media and still manages to maintain an identity all its own. It stays true to the themes it establishes early on despite how batshit insane it is. And when you reach the end of the road, when you climb to the peak of the mountain and gaze down at everything you went through to get here, the first and only thing that will pop into your head is, damn, what a journey. Now, if I've done my job today and convinced you to give this show a try, you're gonna need to know where to watch it. Luckily for you, Codegeass is one of the few anime out there that is still widely available on most streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Funimation, even Apple TV if you're one of those weirdos. If you're into physical media, there's an Amazon link for the Blu-ray in the description. Also, you have my full permission to watch this show dubbed. It features almost every great English voice actor you know and love from the mid-2000s. It's how I first experienced the show, and I'm very happy with my decision.
Here,
What's this?
a love letter.
Oh? From you?
Anywho, one final warning about this show before I leave you guys. While the power of the Geass is very much within the realm of fiction, there is a hidden manipulative feature residing in this show that has the power to bend you to its will. It isn't a major cause for concern, but you should be aware of it anyways. Just know that if you find yourself checking out of this website in the near future, it's already too late.